Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you all can hear me well and see my screen. Shasa, would you please let me know if it's visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a webinar to introduce the Peacebuilding Fund's Gender and Youth Promotion Initiatives 2022. My name is Ylva, and I'm coordinating the initiatives. It's a pleasure to have all of you join us today. I'm joined by my colleague Shasa. If you would like to introduce yourself, perhaps.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shaza. I work with PBSO as a gender advisor, and yes, I will be helping Ylva with today's session.
Great, thank you so much. And joining us, if not yet, at least in a little bit, is our colleague Sarah. Sarah, if you're already here, if you want to say hi, otherwise you can say hi when you join us later. Let's see. She might join us in a bit then. Okay, great. Great, so thank you so much for joining us. This webinar is being recorded, as you can see, and the recording and slides will be shared on the website afterwards. Feel free to post any questions in the chat. We will have time to answer all the questions after the presentation. This webinar is also taking place in French in about an hour and a half and in Spanish tomorrow. If you would like to attend those webinars, please register on the website you can see listed here. And below the website, you can also see the email address here in case helpful in the future. Okay, with that, I think we are ready to start. Okay, so here's the overview of what we would like to cover today. So a little bit of a background on the Peacebuilding Fund, introducing GPI as well as YPI, looking at eligible countries, touching upon who can apply, as well as Cso Eligibility Criteria, looking into the GPI theme of this year, as well as looking into the YPI theme, guidelines, review criteria, timeline, available support and resources, as well as questions and answers towards the end. Okay, so looking into a brief background on the Peacebuilding Fund. So the UN Secretary General's Peacebuilding Fund, PBF, is the organization's financial instrument to support peacebuilding projects in countries at risk of or affected by conflict. It provides direct funding both to UN and civil society organizations. To give an example, in 2021, PBF invested a total of 195 million in 103 projects in over 30 countries and contexts. 47% of this total investment went towards gender equality and women's empowerment. The PBF works across pillars and supports integrated UN responses to both fill critical funding gaps, respond quickly and with flexibility to opportunities, as well as in a catalytic and risk-tolerant fashion. Looking at GPI and YPI, so as you may know, it is two initiatives launched at the same time. So we have the Gender Promotion Initiative as well as the Youth Promotion Initiative. So if we start by looking at the Gender Promotion Initiative, this was started in response. There's an echo apparently, so I'm going to turn off my camera in case that helps with that. Sorry, colleagues. I hope this will work better. So in terms of the Gender Promotion Initiative, this was started in response to Security Council Resolution 3025 and subsequent resolutions on women, peace, and security. And this initiative aims to support innovative approaches that promote gender equality and support women in peacebuilding. In 2021, so last year, a total of 25.7 million were invested in GPI projects. A total of 19 of these projects took place in 14 countries. Looking at the Youth Promotion Initiative, this was launched in response to Security Council Resolution 2250 and subsequent resolutions on youth peace and security. This initiative aims to support innovative approaches that promote the positive contribution of young women and men in peace building. In 2021, a total of 25.7 million were invested in 19 projects in 15 countries. So speaking of 2021, a total of 27 of these projects focused on civic space and 11 focused on mental health and psychosocial support. These were the two themes of last year, and the full project list is available here in case of interest. Great. So looking then at what is new for this year. So there are a couple of aspects that are new in 2022. So first of all, highlighting the specificities of YPI and GPI is something we're trying to do this year. So for example, by having separate themes as well as separate webinars. One reason for this is that in the past we received a lot of projects focused on women and youth, but without highlighting the specificities of the different groups, etc. And so we're trying to make clear that there are two separate initiatives launched at the same time. So both the Youth Promotion Initiative and the Gender Promotion Initiative. So that's something we're trying to do this year. Another thing that's new is that there is a pilot to nationalize the Gender Promotion Initiative called GPI 2.0 that is being launched in 4 countries this year. Those are the Gambia, Guatemala, Haiti, and Nigeria. These countries will not be eligible for GPI, but will remain eligible for YPI. Another thing that's new is increased budget ceiling to 2 million per project and a prolonged project duration of 2 years. There are also changes in the Cso eligibility process this year that we will walk you through in a little bit. So here are the 26 eligible countries in 2022. You can have a look at this list, and as you see, 4 of them are eligible for YPI only. Great. So looking at who can apply. So in a basic sense, the answer is that UN agencies, funds, and programs, as well as civil society organizations can apply. If we start by looking at UN submissions, there's a maximum of 2 proposals per initiative per UNCT, per UN country team, meaning 2 YPI proposals and 2 GPI proposals. All UNCT submissions must be endorsed by the resident coordinator, the RC, in form of submission of a signed cover letter. There are 2 types of submissions open to UN entities, and looking at the first one, that's the joint UN proposal. So here grants are available between 800,000 and 2 million per project, and this includes 2 to 3 UN partners as direct fund recipients per project. The other option is a joint UN CSO proposal. So here grants are available at the same size, and there's a maximum of 2 UN partners and 1 CSO partner as a direct fund recipient per project. And here CSO partners must meet all the eligibility criteria. So looking on the CSO side, there's a maximum of 2 proposals per initiative per organization globally, meaning 2 YPI proposals per organization globally and 2 GPI proposals. Grants are available between 300,000 and 2 million per project. And there's a maximum of 1 CSO as a direct fund recipient per project. And these proposals are submitted by the CSO independently. There's no limit to the number of CSOs submitting projects per country or anything like that. And all CSOs need to meet the eligibility criteria. Okay, so speaking of Cso eligibility criteria, there's been some changes this year compared to in the past, and that I'll walk you through right now. So there are 3 main requests for now. So firstly, CSOs need to be formally registered as a non-profit for the duration of the proposed project in both the country where the headquarters is located as well as the project country. Secondly, they are required to receive a low-risk score in a hacked microassessment in the project country. The questionnaire that such an assessment is based on can be found here for reference. If already assessed, low-risk scores from March 2021 and onwards will be accepted. If not yet assessed, organizations invited to the second stage, for those, PBF will commission a microassessment. So that means that if your organization has already been assessed, please attach the assessment to the concept note when you submit online. If not yet assessed, PBF will commission such an assessment for CSOs that make it to the second stage, meaning that they get invited to develop their full project proposal. Otherwise, no action yet. If you have specific questions regarding this, feel free to email the GYPI email you saw on the first slide, and we'll get in touch with the administrative agent who will be in charge of this process and get back to you with answers. The third thing is a UN reference or donor reference attesting to satisfactory financial and programmatic management of a grant in the last 3 years. And then to note also that in the second stage, CSOs will be reviewed regarding prevention of sexual exploitation and abuse. Looking into then the themes of the calls, so looking at the thematic focus of the Gender Promotion Initiative, this year it focuses on supporting women's civil society organization, groups and networks in strengthening their institutional capacity for sustainable contribution to peace building. So all GPI proposals will need to reach the criteria for PBF Gender Marker 3. This is based on a PBF guidance note on gender marker scoring, and that is linked here, as well as the link can also be found towards the end of the presentation. GPI proposals need to be both gender as well as age sensitive, and at least 40% need to be allocated to national or local civil society partners, and in particular then women-led organizations. In addition, preference will be given to joint UN CSO projects, projects implemented by national CSOs, and projects that demonstrate a strong partnership with women-led organizations. More information on the theme can be found in the call for proposal, and a little bit later in the process there will also be a webinar focused specifically on the theme of the GPI call. Looking at the themes of this year's Youth Promotion Initiative, it focuses on a couple of different things. So firstly, fostering youth-inclusive political processes and promoting the political participation of diverse young people. The second theme is promoting safety, security, and protection of diverse young people. And the third option is a combination of the first two themes. All Youth Promotion Initiative proposals are required to be both age and gender sensitive. They need to reach the criteria of the PBF Gender Marker 2, or preferably 3, but at least 2. And at least 40% need to be allocated to national or local civil society partners, in particular youth-led organizations. In addition, preference will be given to joint UN CSO projects, projects implemented by national CSOs, projects that demonstrate a strong partnership with youth-led organizations. Here again, there's more information available in the call for proposal, and there will be a specific webinar focused on the themes of YPI organized in a little bit. Looking at some project guidelines, so projects must be submitted in English, French, or Spanish. The project duration is a maximum of 24 months, it's an increase from in the past. Grants are available between 300,000 and 2 million for CSOs and 800,000 and 2 million for UNAFPs. Projects must set aside at least 5 to 7% of the budget for monitoring and evaluation. And projects must allocate at least 40% of the total grant to national and local civil society partners, and then in particular women and youth-led organizations. And as just mentioned, GPI projects must meet all gender market 3 criteria, and YPI must meet the gender market 2 or gender market 3 criteria. Having a look at the review criteria, so the criteria that projects are reviewed for, these are the same as in the past. So it's innovation, gender and age responsive conflict analysis, peace building approach, gender and youth approach, local partnership and consultation, focused and realistic interventions, clear logic between conflict analysis, intervention, activities, and results, clear targeting of beneficiaries, and geographic location, as well as implementation capacity and value for money. In the call for proposal, you can find a detailed overview of the review criteria as well, which might be helpful. Looking at some lessons learned. So the main reason for concept notes to not be selected into the second stage last year were mainly 3 reasons. So firstly was the link to peace building. So successful proposals were able to clearly articulate the link between the proposed intervention and the intended peace building outcome. This is the peace building fund after all, and so a strong emphasis is put on the link to peace building and that being clearly articulated. The second aspect was gender or youth responsiveness. So successful concept notes place this at the center of their proposal, not as an add-on or something in addition to, but at the center. And third was innovation. Successful concept notes were able to articulate how and why their proposal was innovative and new. And another tip is to reach out to PBS Secretariat and focal points in the countries that can help with guidance, and contact lists will be shared with the slides. Having a bit of a look on the timeline. So as you may know, this is a 2-stage process, and the stage 1 is focused on concept notes. So first was the launch of the initiatives, as you know, that happened last week. And the intro webinars are taking place today and tomorrow in the 3 languages. That will be followed by a webinar focused on the GPI themes, as well as a webinar focused on YPI themes, which will take place in the coming couple of weeks. Invitations and links will be available on the website. The online application portal will then open in May, and the deadline for the online concept note submissions will be June 6th. This is strict, and proposed concept notes received after that will not be accepted. After that, the concept notes will be reviewed and the results will be announced sometime in early July. For the projects that get invited to develop full project proposals, in other words, make it to stage 2, the deadline for draft proposals for feedback will be towards the end of August. The deadline for final proposals will be towards the end of October, and the final results will then be announced in November, and funds will be dispersed in December and January. So looking at support that is available, so we have the 2 upcoming webinars, one on GPI and one on YPI. Links and schedule will be available on the GYPI website in due course. In addition to that, there are also existing webinars already available on the GYPI website. So these were recorded in previous years, but may still be helpful to project teams now. So for example, these are on youth inclusive peace building, gender responsive peace building, conflict analysis and theory of change, as well as monitoring and evaluation. Also on the GYPI website, you can find the call for proposal in the 3 languages, listed resources, as well as a section on frequently asked questions. Another source of available support is, of course, PBF Secretariat and focal points in the country, and list will be shared with the slides after this. And if you have questions that you cannot find the answer to, either in the call for proposal or on the website, feel free to email us and we'll be happy to help you. Here are some helpful resources. There are a couple of them I would like to shout out. So one is the PBF guidance note on gender marker scoring. This is where you can read about the criteria for gender marker 3 and gender marker 2 and so on. And we would kindly advise that you take a close look at this. Another helpful resource is the Yps Handbook that can help guide on youth inclusive project development and so on. And the other helpful resource might be the PBF website that you can find listed here as well. And on the GYPI website, there are also more listed resources. So please take a look and see what can be helpful for you. Okay, I think that is it. Let's see if there are any questions, and we'll be very glad to help answer. Shaza, have we received any questions in the chat?
We've received 4 questions, and Sarah's answered most of them. But I think the one of the questions that was not answered was, are CSO consortiums allowed, or it needs to be specific, or it needs to specifically be UN CSO consortiums or standalone projects? I don't know if you could see the chat.
Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look.
I believe it's UN CSOs, right? Or a standalone CSO project for GPI.
Oh, I see. Now I found the question. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So the option is UN CSO projects or a CSO project put forward by one CSO. But then, of course, we require every proposal needs to allocate at least 40% to local partners. And for most projects, there are implementing partners and so on. So we, of course, expect collaboration within those projects as well. But it's not possible to apply for 2 CSOs to apply as direct recipients, if that helps to clarify, hopefully. So either UN CSO or a CSO proposal with one CSO, but of course, you know, in collaboration with partners such as implementing partners and local partners and so on. But it being one CSO that applies to start with.
Another question from Modi. Is it possible for a women-led organization, which is young, women-led, to apply for 2 projects, GPI and YPI? So basically, can a CSO apply for both GPI and YPI?
Yes, absolutely. So the limit for CSOs in terms of how many applications is 2 per initiative globally. So 2 YPI applications and 2 GPI applications. Absolutely.
But not from the same country. I think this is not in the same country.
So they're possible to apply, yes. Something to keep in mind is that it's very rare for the same organization to hold several different PBF grants in the same country at the same time. That is very rare also for financial reasons, but it's possible to, at the concept note stage, apply. Okay. If that helps to clarify. Yeah, so, but exactly, it's still, in terms of all CSO applications, please take a close look at the Cso eligibility criteria, as these need to be met. So I see a question also if we have confirmed dates for the 2 upcoming webinars. If not, when can we expect this information to become available? So the dates are not confirmed yet. It's likely to be end of May, and the information should be ready towards the end of this week. We'll post it on the website, as well as send out invitations and so on. Okay.
I think there's one question. Can an organization apply for funding and be successful while already implementing a project funded by PBF, either in the same country or elsewhere in the world? If I understand correctly, I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, exactly. The answer is yes. But then it depends on, you know, the size of the organization, and it needs to meet the eligibility criteria and so on. But there's nothing stopping that to be possible, so to speak. Yes. Okay, great. I see a question regarding how can we access the applying mail? What is the difference between the draft and final proposal? So CSOs has to propose the draft and you correct, and you have to return the draft or corrections. Okay, so for the concept note stage, to submit concept notes happens through an online platform that will open towards, let's have a look at this. This might help to clarify. So the online application portal where you can submit concept notes will open in May, and we will only accept applications through this platform. And the deadline for this is June 6th. So this is a concept note, not a full proposal. You can find the draft, the questions for the concept notes in the call for proposals, and already on the GYPI website, you can find templates for the concept notes for drafting only, because once you submit, or for submission, it needs to be through this online platform. But for drafting, you can find the template already. Then there will be a project appraisal committee, and sometime in July, we will announce which proposals make it to stage 2. So which proposals will be invited to submit a full project proposal. And for these project teams, there will be a deadline for draft proposals for feedback towards the end of August, where you send in the draft full proposals and PBF gives feedback. And then you will have a couple of more weeks to work on it. And then the deadline for the final proposals will be in October. But for now, it's a concept note, and you can find the questions in the call for proposal, or on the GYPI website, you can find the template for drafting. Hoping that this helps to clarify. I see a question regarding focal points in Burundi. We will share the contact list when we share the slides, but there are focal points in Burundi for sure. We'll share shortly.
I think there's a question a bit higher earlier about women-led organizations applying. Yes, if the CSO meets the criteria, then they are meets the criteria required. Then yes, they can of course apply. But then there's a question about using the capacity assessments done by OCHA. I think this is something maybe Sarah could respond to, or you, Yelva. I mean, you're more about capacity assessments.
Hi, Sarah. Would you? Yes. And Sarah, maybe if you want to say hi also.
Yes, thank you.
Introduce yourself a bit. That would be great.
My microphone was a bit stuck this morning. It didn't want to start the week. So good morning, everyone. I'm a program officer at the Peace Building Fund. I mainly cover the Francophone countries, but I'm happy to be here and try to help. So we've received a number of questions regarding this assessment and the criteria that are used. So maybe just to clarify that it is a sort of micro audit that is done by an independent firm of the CSO. There are a list of criteria. It's a very long list of criteria that I don't think we can, provide right now, but they would go through more or less the same type of criteria that were being assessed in the previous years. And this firm will issue a report that is valid for 2 years. The report needs to have an assessment that the CSO is at low risk for us to be able to fund directly. I don't think that OCHA uses the same assessment. I know there are a number of UN entities that do, like UNDP, UNICEF, and others, I think UNFPA, UN Women. But since I'm not super sure about OCHA, I was just asking the colleague maybe to share with us the report of the assessment that OCHA did in 2019, and we can understand if it is the same type of assessment. Unfortunately, I think a 2019 report would be too old because it needs to be a 2 years report. So 2020 would be the latest that we need. Yeah, I think that's on the ACT assessment.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. That's correct. And in addition, just to specify further that it is correct that actually we would need a low risk score from March 2021 and onwards. But apart from that, yes, exactly like you said. And if there are specific questions about this, please email the GYPI email address.
I think there's a question that we might have missed. What is the difference between the draft and the final proposal? And so CSO has to propose the draft, and you correct, or you have to. I think. Oh, this is for later at the proposal stage.
Right? Yes, exactly.
Come back with feedback.
Yes, exactly. So having a look now, so for stage 1, we're only asking for concept notes. For stage 2, for the proposals that get invited to stage 2, we're asking for full proposals. And first there will be a deadline for draft proposals, and PBF will provide feedback, and then there will be a deadline for final proposals. But that's for the second stage. For now, we're asking for concept notes. Okay, let's see. What other questions do we have here?
So Ylva, just another 2 follow-up question that I see
yes,
here
please.
on the ACT for the Burhan colleague. Maybe the best would be to share the report with the GYPI email that you should have already received the invitation to this webinar, for example, but we can post it again. And they are also colleagues asking Kirat if the assessment needs to be funded by them, the CSO. And I just wanted to clarify that no, this is a process that is paid for directly by us at the PBF.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's perfect. So again, for now, we're asking for organizations that have already been assessed and that have a low risk score from March 2021 and onwards to attach that when you submit your concept note submission online. And if you have not yet been assessed, for the organizations that get invited to the second stage, PBF will commission such a microassessment, a hacked microassessment. So hoping that will help to clarify. I see a question here if it can be an international CSO or must it be national. So in terms of who can submit proposals, we're open to both. Let's see.
Maybe on this point, Ylva, as well, if I can add, if it is an international CSO that is requesting for funding, it should make sure that at least 40% of the budget is then allocated to a national and local CSO.
Exactly. So that's exactly correct. So for GPI, at least 40% need to be allocated to national or local civil society partners, in particularly women-led organizations. And then looking at YPI, it's the same amount, at least 40%, but then in particular youth-led organizations. Hoping this helps to clarify a bit. Are there other questions? I see a question regarding the email address. I'm going to write it right now. I see a question also regarding capacities, regarding organizations with lower capacities. What flexibility do we have to build our capacity? That's a great question. So looking at the theme of this year's GPI, it is to support women's civil society organizations, groups, and networks in strengthening their institutional capacity for sustainable contribution to peace building. So we see this whole theme as capacity building. So we're looking for proposals specifically focused on this. And even for YPI, we welcome capacity building elements. So in terms of the theme, that's very welcome. Maybe if it's an organization that doesn't have a lot of capacity, maybe it's not possible to be a direct recipient. Direct recipients would need to, reach all the Cso eligibility criteria that we were just talking about. But other possibilities are an option, for example, being an implementing partner or being part of the proposal as a partner somehow. Hoping this helps to clarify. But in terms of direct recipients, they would need to reach all the eligibility criteria. Yes, what other questions do we see here? Yes, exactly. So the recording of this webinar, as well as the slides, as well as the contact list of PBF Secretariat and focal points in the countries will be shared after the webinar. And the slides and the presentation will also be uploaded on the GYPI website. Yes, so I see a question regarding template for concept notes. Yes, so in the call for proposal, you can find the questions for that the concept note will include. And in terms of a template for drafting, that you can already find on the GYPI website. Again, we will only accept concept notes that are submitted directly through the online portal, but please feel free to use the Word templates for drafting. Okay, so I see another question regarding the Cso eligibility criteria. So let me go through or have a look at this slide again. So it is true that there have been quite big changes from last year. These are the Cso eligibility criteria now. So for the first stage, we're asking for 3 things. So formally registered, if organizations have received a low risk score on a HACT assessment that we already talked about, and then a UN reference or a donor reference. Yeah, so no other eligibility criteria from our side at this point. And then in the second stage, CSOs will also be reviewed regarding prevention of sexual exploitation and abuse. Oh yeah, for sure. There's also a question regarding repeating the response on using the OCHA risk assessment. So what our requirement is a low risk score on a HACT microassessment. So it depends on what type of assessment the organization has gone through before. If it is a HACT microassessment, and if you received a low risk score from March 2021 and onwards, then it's all fine. But if you have specific questions about this, please feel free to email the GYPI email as well. Hoping this helps to clarify. Yeah, please, Shaza.
Yeah, Sarah, I don't know if you answered this question from Alan. Is that I think it was not very clear to them about the how many times the CSO can apply. So they're eligible for 2 GPI and 2 YPI submissions. But I think the question is if there is 1 RFP for GPI and YPI respectively, how is it possible to make 2 submissions under each? No, so it's basically this whole process are 2 call for proposals, the YPI and the GPI. So this is actually, these are actually 2 channels. Let's say, I don't know if this makes it clearer. And Ylva, Sarah, maybe you have something else to clarify?
No, yeah, exactly. I think that is super helpful. So for CSOs, there's a maximum of 2 proposals per initiative per organization globally. So as an organization, you can submit 2 YPI proposals and 2 GPI proposals maximum.
Maybe Eva, let me also add, for example, if you are an organization that has offices in 4 countries in the world that are eligible for this call, you should coordinate with your other colleagues and understand if others are also planning to apply. And you should prioritize 2 countries, because we will at our level then not consider for proposals coming from the same organization that has offices in the different countries. I've also shared in the chat, and I hope you can all access this link, the questionnaire of the ACT micro assessment. This is a questionnaire that is available online. So this link will take you to the page, and if you link on it, it will open an Excel with the full list of questions that the CSO will be assessed for. So if you see, the questions are really varied. They go from the capacity, the registration, the legal basis, the financial capacity, and all of that. So it's a very, very long list for this audit, and I hope it helps to clarify what are the criteria that the assessment will be based on. Over.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for clarifying, Sarah. That's great. Yeah, so please feel free to take a look at that link for reference for now. Great. Okay. I see a question then. If the above is still part of the financial eligibility requirement, the amount reference is only for the portion of the budget managed by the CSO in question, correct? I'm not sure I'm understanding the question correctly. Sarah, do you know if you're understanding?
Yes, I think I do. I think I understand, Richard, and I confirm that is correct. If you are applying for $800,000 and with a UN entity that is applying for another 1.2 million, that makes a 2 million proposal, your CSO will be assessed against the 800,000. So you need to show capacity of managing that amount that is directly allocated to your CSO.
Exactly. Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying. Yes, that's indeed correct. Okay. And then there's another question regarding the assessment. So just to again note that if an organization has not yet been assessed, organizations that will be invited to the second stage, so that will be invited to develop full project proposals, PBF will commission such an assessment. But in order to, in the end, be eligible, they would need to receive a low risk score in a hacked microassessment. So please feel free to take a look at the link Sarah shared to better understand what that entails and see if your organization might be able to do that.
Ilva, can we also clarify the timing of this assessment? Because I think Modi is asking if it's possible to have this assessment done before the the submission of the concept note and the development of the proposal. So maybe can you clarify when is the moment when this will happen in the project development?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So if your organization has already been assessed for maybe in some other process or through collaborating with another partner or so on, and you have received a low risk score from March 2021 and onwards, that will be accepted also in this process. If your organization has not yet been assessed, it's not possible for us to make an assessment now, but PBF will commission microassessments for organizations that are invited to the second stage. So that will be in the second stage. So after the results are announced in July, there's the concept note results are announced in July, hoping that that helps to clarify. Oh, please clarify eligible for YPI versus those eligible for GPI? Sure thing. 1 second. So there's a pilot to nationalize GPI called GPI 2.0 that is being launched in 4 countries in this year. So that's the Gambia, Guatemala, Haiti, and Nigeria. And these countries will not be eligible for GPI, but will remain eligible for YPI. So here you can find the overview with the 4 countries that are only eligible for YPI. So hoping that this helps to clarify a bit. Great. Okay, what other questions do we see, colleagues? Yes, so yes, last year there were additional requirements, and this year those are taken away. That will be part of the HACT assessment. So the Cso eligibility criteria listed here are the ones that are updated and correct for this year, hoping that that helps to clarify. Okay. Can a CSO apply for PBF without being in a consortium? So yes, in terms of CSO submissions, the maximum to be a direct fund recipient, there's a max of 1 organization to be a direct fund recipient. But that being said, we expect, let's see, we expect that at least 40% of the grant to be allocated to national and local civil society partners. So in particular, women-led for GPI and youth-led for YPI. So to clarify, CSOs, so a single CSO are eligible or can apply for GPI and YPI, but we do expect there to be implementing partners and partners on the ground, and we expect at least 40% to be allocated to those, hoping that this helps to clarify a bit. Great. Shasa and Sarah, do you see any other questions that we missed?
I don't see any, but colleagues, everyone, please, if we've missed anything, please don't hesitate to post it again. But I think we've answered them. About national CSOs, if they meet the criteria, then yes, they are eligible to apply. We'd actually like to see, kind of CSOs applying. So yes, if they meet the criteria and are able to get a low scoring or get the micro assessment scoring that is needed, then yes, they can apply.
Exactly, and we very much welcome it. And just to build on that, I see a question here. If local NGOs lack capacity to handle a large sum, can international CSOs be direct recipient to manage the local CSO grants? Yeah, absolutely. Those types of project proposals are very welcome. And we see it as part of capacity building and collaboration and so on. So for sure, those types of project proposals are welcome.
Silva, I don't see additional questions, but I see 2 hands raised. I don't know if the colleagues wanted maybe to ask directly a question. Leonard and Bausumo. And apologies if I didn't pronounce well.
Great. Let me see if I can. I think I need to turn on their microphones. Okay, so now I think I've turned on the microphone. So feel free to unmute and ask your question, colleagues.
Leonard, that was the first hand raised.
Great, thank you, Sarah.
Oh, sorry, colleagues. I think it was raised by it was raised in error. The questions have been well answered. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Thank you so much. Sumo. So apologies if I'm not pronouncing correctly. Okay, if you have a question, please feel free to unmute Basumo. I see also Burhan, let me just open your mic. Okay, Burhan, I see your hand. If you have a question, feel free to unmute and we'll answer your question. I don't hear anything, so maybe these hands were also raised in error, perhaps, or maybe the questions have already been answered. Oh, here we go. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question about the micro assessment. This one you have shared with us the link, and I have seen there is a Excel sheet. If we fill that Excel and also attach the requirement documents, can we share with you that?
Thank you. That's a great question. So no, the assessment would be done by consultants later. So what Sarah shared was the Excel of questions that the assessment will be based on. So it's not possible to just fill it out and then to think that the assessment is done, unfortunately. So if your organization has already been assessed, please attach the assessment when you submit the concept note. If your organization has not yet been assessed, there's no action needed yet. Please have a look at the link Sarah shared for reference, but no action needed. And if your concept note would make it to stage 2, PBF would commission these assessments. Does this help to clarify?
Very clear. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I see another hand. Let me unmute. Okay, here you go. Richard, I see your hand. If you have a question, please feel free to unmute.
Yes, thank you very much. So I understand that an international CSO can apply, but if an international CSO applies with or without a UN partner as part of the submission, it is also required to have a local CSO as part of the overall submission, correct?
Correct. Yes. So we expect implementing partners, and at least 40% will need to be allocated directly to local or national CSOs. So for YPI, especially youth-led, and for GPI, especially women-led. Okay.
And then the financial eligibility requirements, that the 40% is against the total value of the project, or against the international CSOs part of the project?
So thank you. Thank you. So from the PBF side, we assess the direct recipients. So if it's an international CSO applying, that's who we are assessing. Then it's up to that CSO to assess their partners and so on, and it's up to them how they would transfer 40%. But we expect proposals to include implementing partners, and we expect proposals to allocate at least 40%. But the HACT assessment and so on is only for direct recipients. So I think in the example you mentioned, it would be for the international CSO. Yeah, please, Sarah, go ahead. Okay, thank you, Richard. Sarah, please go ahead.
Yes, Richard, just to make an example, if you are a CSO and you are in a consortium with a UN entity, you are applying altogether for a 2 million project. 1.2 will go to the UN directly. 800,000 will go to your international CSO. It is 40% of the 2 million that needs to be allocated then to a local CSO, not 40% of the 800,000 that goes to the CSO of the full project proposal.
Exactly.
So that's the 40%, that's subtracted from the 2 million. It's not additional to it.
Exactly.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. Shasa, please go ahead.
There's one question from a colleague, Niang. Are thematic focus just priority topics, or agencies can submit other topics? I'm afraid no, that these are the themes, and we'd like to see proposals that address the themes presented in YPI or GPI. So there could be variations maybe, but it needs to ultimately address the theme, the priority topics presented.
Exactly. Thank you so much. I see 2 more hands. So Bangali, sorry if I'm pronouncing that badly. Please feel free to share your question. And if not, Shad, I've also allowed your microphone if you would like to share your question. I see your hand.
Sure, thank you. Sorry, I joined a bit late, so I missed a bulk of the conversation, but I was just wondering how INGOs fit in here. And if we did want to be part of this, who would we have to collaborate with, or if we have the same kind of structure, if we can work with local CSOs and receive the funding?
Yeah, exactly. So it's open, both YPI and GPI is open also to international CSOs. There's the maximum limit of proposals is 2 per initiative. So also for international NGOs, it would be a maximum of 2 YPI proposals and 2 GPI proposals. And then the same Cso eligibility criteria apply. And we expect, proposals to have partners and implementing partners, and to allocate at least 40% to local or national CSOs. Hoping that this helps to clarify a bit. Feel free to let us know if you have a follow-up on that.
No, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think I've unmuted the people who have raised their hands. So if there's someone who's raised their hand and have a question who've not yet gotten a chance to do so, to ask, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, Shaz and Sarah, do we see any additional questions in the chat?
No, not so far. No.
No, I also don't see other questions, but of course, then, we remain available if there is any additional question that will come up later in the day or in the weeks.
Great, yeah, exactly. In that case, maybe we'll wrap up this webinar. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and good luck with starting to develop concept notes if you and your organizations are interested. We will share the slides and the recording as well as the contact list to PBF secretariats and focal points. And then we will post dates and links to the GPI webinar and the YPI webinar in the coming couple of days. Okay. I think that is it. Thank you all so much, and wishing you a nice start of the week. Thank you, colleagues. And thank you, Sarah and Shaza, for joining me.
Thank you, Ilva. Thank you, colleagues. And good luck
Thank
with
you,
your
thank you,
proposals.
colleagues. Good night. Have a good day.